What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 105 of the Tasty Cast, a weekly podcast where we talk about things, react to things, do a bunch of random shit. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
I'm Josh.
And quick reminders to download and play Titanfall 2 and Monster Energy Supercross. Both offered for free on PlayStation Plus. This is your last week to download those, play those, come back at the end of the week for Plus Club. Let us know what you thought of those games. We'll let you know what we thought of them. And then our game of the month, picked by you guys, is Sea of Thieves. Make sure to play that as well. It is a pirate game where you go around and the internet disconnects. Thanks, Comcast. And your ship starts going through the waves and then starts slowly floating up this way out of the sea. And Josh gets stuck looking into the floor while I start fucking panicking because I've never seen this happen with a ship until the game goes. You can play that, come back at the end of the week, talk about that game, and check out that footage on Game of the Month, and we'll have discussion. We have Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and the podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And we got a TikTok. It's Tasty Loot Gaming. Check that shit out. So episode 105, Tasty Cast. This is actually our Game of the Year Tasty Cast, our annual Game of the Year discussion where we talk about our two runners-up, our Game of the Year, best game we thought came out this year, and an overall discussion of just the whole year in general when it comes to the releases. I recently just did a video for my most disappointing game, so if you're curious about that, it's the last episode. It's black and white, and the thumbnail is absolutely not clickbait, Wade. So check that out. All right, so with every Game of the Year discussion that we have, we start out with our runners-up. In the way I kind of set up runners-up is the games that were the second and third best. You don't necessarily have to do it in order, but the ones that could have made Game of the Year but didn't quite nail it. Also, another thing I want to throw out there as well before we get into this discussion is I allow people to pick whatever games they want for Game of the Year, regardless of if they've beaten them, not beaten them, if it's an expansion, as long as it came out this year and it's agreed that it's full content. I think it's fair game because this just comes down to what was the most memorable content video game wise for you. So even if you played a game a little bit, but you keep thinking about what your favorite game this year was, it's fair game. So, and I expect everybody to be clear about, how much they played of it and all that shit. And then you guys can take it for what it is, but that's, the discussion. So, with all that out of the way, let's jump into our first runner-ups for Game of the Year. Let's start with Chevy.
Okay. So for me, I do have to kind of do it in 3, 2, 1, just because 2 and 1 for me,
yours is in order.
Yes.
Okay.
Because second and first place are ridiculously close.
Mm-hmm.
So my list just ended up working that way. It usually does, though. I do want to give a shout out to Fire Emblem Three Houses. I almost put it on my list, but I don't feel like I gave it enough time to actually have a solid enough opinion myself.
I feel like I've put as much time into that as I would have put into most games I've played this year, and I don't feel like it's enough time for that game.
It's a big game. Yeah, for sure. So, but I wanted to give it a shout out because it is something I think deserves more attention than I think it's gotten this year. That being said, my third place game is Monster Hunter Iceborne. I think what they've done with that expansion was literally make an entirely new Monster Hunter game and improve upon a base that was already amazing. And the support has just kept on going with it. I'm just thoroughly impressed with how Capcom is handling Monster Hunter and all their IPs right now.
All their IPs right now, they're killing it.
But, specifically here with Monster Hunter, I mean, the amount of new content, new monsters, the location, and then even just like new features and stuff like that is impressive. We didn't need to receive all that, and they did it. And I think it's amazing.
They're already supporting it right now with new updates, new armor, all that shit.
Stygian Zenogre is out, and so is Rajang. That's out. Plus the new Siege with Safajiva is out.
Yep. I mean, they just released that expansion this year, and they're already pumping shit out.
Yeah.
So.
And
that was just a few months ago.
And one other thing I want to bring up too, because you said, you want to talk about how much time we put into it. I did not put as much time in this as I would have liked to this year. I'm still actually going through the Iceborne campaign itself, but I have played a decent chunk of it, both multiplayer and not, and I have talking to a couple community members about stuff that's in the game as well. So I'm just really impressed overall with it. And so, it's number 3 for me out of everything that came out this year.
Fair. Yeah, what I'm gonna go into my my runner up as well. It's a good pick. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think mine are in order as well. Because I keep thinking about it in my head. Every time we do this, every year, I'm like deciding what my games are, my runners up as we're filming. It's that hard for me. I'm just like, So I think I got it though. I think I got it. But yeah, I want to give a shout real quick. Also to Iceborne. It didn't make my top three, but it is close. It's one of the top contenders this year. I didn't play it as much as I would have liked to. I did play it, but just the amount of games this year, I'm really bad about playing every game that comes out pretty much. So towards the end of the year, I had to just deny certain games so I could play other games, and yeah, so that is something that should had potential of being in my top three, but didn't just because of time investment. Yeah, so my first runner-up is Control. Control is a game that when I first played, I instantly thought, "Holy shit, this could be game of the year for me." It released earlier this year. It's great in so many ways. Remedy is a company that I've been a fan of, a developer. I've been a fan of for years, ever since Max Payne. I've liked every game they've made, including Quantum Break, and I do think Alan Wake is their best game. Control is absolutely a second best to me, and spoiler, it has to do with it's in the same universe as Alan Wake, so that's really fucking cool. It gives me hope to see another Alan Wake again. But Control has this very unique visual style to it, a really intriguing story that's written really well, characters that are very interesting, action that's very fun. And mostly it's weird, and I love weird shit. So it has this really cool, almost like Nolan or like oh no, I forgot his name. Another director, fucking tone to it. That's very classical looking to it. Oh, it was almost there. I almost had it. Fucking, I keep wanting to say Scorsese, but it's not. Fucking oh my god, that's gonna drive me fucking crazy. Anyway. And yeah, the visual style is amazing. I love just the weirdness to it, the monsters you run into, the enemies, everything that's always transforming in the game. It's a very, very cool game. The two games that only beat it because they had a bigger lasting impression for me. Or when I think back on them, I think about how much I enjoyed them much more. But Control is very cool. I loved it, and it's definitely one of my favorite games of the year. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play the one at all, but everything I watched you play a little bit, and then the little bit I have heard even online, it's just a quality game, like in design.
And it won Game of the Year on a lot of different websites.
And I was saying it's been nominated left and right, so they got a lot of attention on this one.
And that's one of the things I love about this too, is like I'm always rooting for Remedy. They're always like this close to just like they have a cult following, and they have released games that are super famous and people love and shit. But some people don't make the connection that's Remedy. So they know the game, they don't know who made it. And Quantum Break is probably the closest to trying to get mainstream and get out there, but they oversimplified, I guess, what they do well. And that's, write really good stories that are really weird and really engrossing and unfold over time, whereas Quantum Break was closer to like they tried a couple things with like being like episodic in the chapters and like making it feel almost like a TV show and stuff. It was a cool idea, but they didn't nail it. But Control, I really feel like is finally them getting a lot of attention that they deserve, because Alan Wake didn't get played nearly as much as it should have, and anyone who played loved it. So if we ever get an Alan Wake 2, it'd be fucking fantastic. But yeah, Control and the attention it got is great for Remedy, and that's awesome.
For sure. It reminds me, it's a weird example, but like it reminds me how like Deftones is to music. Like they have like
definitely
White Pony, everyone knows. You know?
That's a great analogy, because Deftones is not underground. They're not an indie band, but they're technically mainstream, but they're not.
They really ride the line.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like you can go up to somebody like, "Oh, you like Deftones?" They're like, yeah, I do. And then they'll name like 2 songs.
I like Change.
Yeah. Digital Bath or, whatever. And fucking Remedy's absolutely like that. They're not a small company, but they're not fucking huge and well renowned. But if you talk to someone who likes Remedy, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, Remedy's great."
For sure.
And I'm one of those people. So, and Control was absolutely it was just great to play a game. I bought it because I bought that 2080 and fucking I wanted something with ray tracing, and it absolutely takes advantage of that. It's a gorgeous looking game. I mean, I could just talk for hours about the game. It's fantastic. So, but that's my first runner up for game of the year.
That's a good pick. I actually didn't get to try it, but
It's very good. I recommend it. Obviously, it's my third game.
for me, mine is also 3-2-1.
Okay.
Shout out to Call of Duty. It's hands down the best Call of Duty it's been in a long time, and I've been addicted to a Call of Duty like that in a long time.
I'm balls deep in that game.
So good on them for bringing it back.
And Infinity Ward for making a comeback. You guys are making garbage games for a while.
Fucking A.
And now they made like the best Call of Duty in years. So
But my first runner-up is the Outer Worlds. Worlds,
yeah, I'm about to say, be
Wild.
careful. Those are
Did this
two,
twice.
I know.
two games that came out this year.
Outer Worlds from Obsidian.
Okay.
That was when I first started playing. I was like, "Oh shit, this genre's back," you know. And it was back in a way that Morrowind and Oblivion, you know, were back when Bethesda was good. Because in my opinion, I'm not a fan of Skyrim.
What else?
A lot.
Starts with an F.
Oh, Fallout 4 is complete shit.
What about one with a bigger number?
Oh, 76. I never even played it. So.
Yeah, me neither. Who gives a fuck?
But yeah, they kind of drove those into the ground and made them not fun anymore. But Outer Wilds brought all that back. Being able to, you can go through the whole game without firing a shot. Melee weapons are good again. You know, like
That's key, man. Games like that, you always hear, melee sucks. And it's like, just fucking nail it. Somebody do it. Just like, people want that, obviously.
yeah, like don't put it in the game if it's not like a viable option.
Yeah,
like,
just keep it out.
It's like it's just like fan service. Then I'm like, get the fuck out, get the shit the hell out of here and let me beat somebody's head in with a fucking hammer. But the new mechanics, they didn't borrow VATS, but they kind of made a VATS like. You slow down time, and it's like super hot. Or, no, not super hot. But every action you do takes your meter down further. If you stand still, it goes very slow.
So it's almost turn-based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can just decide on what you want to do, but it doesn't just play the game for you after you decide what you want
Or like
to
a
do.
tactical game where you have so many movement points and attack points and stuff, yeah.
But like, I think the perk system's neat. You get, a pick of, there's like 30 perks or something like that, 30, 40 perks. One every 2 or 3 levels, just like the old Fallout games and stuff like that. You can get weaknesses. Like I kept jumping off of high shit and and breaking my legs pretty much. And I got a fear of heights. So like whenever I was near an edge,
That shit reminds me of like more classic RPGs where they actually like made them interesting and like, oh shit, this thing happened to me that might not happen to you.
Yeah, it brings back stories again.
Yeah.
And there's so many different ways, and again, there's so many different ways to deal with stuff that, how I did it is not how you did it.
Yeah. Which is one of the bigger distinguishers for those type of games. Like open world games are so standard now, and turning open world games into like open world RPGs is like the standard as well. But having choices and builds really differentiates those experiences. Otherwise, you're just like, well, did you go into this region? Yeah. What'd you do? I killed the enemies there. Yeah, me too. Whereas a game like that, you talk to someone, maybe you went down a different dialogue tree and you did something differently, or you chose to be more stealthy, whereas I chose to be more fucking like shooty and like the same scenario, or possibly a scenario that neither of us or one of us didn't get, played out completely different, and that's exciting to have that experience of like, oh shit.
Yeah. Four people could play the same thing, and they have a different. All four of you could have different experiences and builds and stuff like that, and you're not Supermen and women. So it's awesome. I actually beat this one.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. I actually beat this one. The storyline kind of got a little wonky at the end, but the journey there was amazing. The planets, they're all different. Every time you land, I was like, oh shit, this is completely different from the last planet. all the stories.
How long does that game take to beat?
On a good day, you probably beat it within 20 hours.
Oh shit.
Oh, that's not as long as I was thinking. It'd be.
That's straight story.
I heard 20-30 hours, which isn't so bad. That's a game that I played and I would like to shout out. But I had to prioritize games I knew would be my game of the years esque type shit, so I had to drop that one. But I regret.
Yeah, see, I have it installed. I haven't tried it.
I regret not playing it more.
I'm at 30. I think I beat it at. No, it was way later. Probably about 45, 46 hours. I was doing a large chunk of the side stuff. And,
Yeah, you're probably experiencing the game. A game like that, you wanna fucking do the side shit anyway.
I do a really weird thing at the very beginning of the game. I always do every side quest, everything I can get my grubby little hands on, and then towards the story will pick up, and then I'll just do the story, and then I'll say, well, fuck all this, and just do the story, and then then I gotta clean up all the side quests after. But
I did that with 15, Final Fantasy 15. Really bad.
That's my runner up. It's good. I recommend anybody who misses those old RPGs to play it. It'll definitely take you back. So,
yeah, good pick. So far we got Iceborne, Control, and Outer Worlds. That's an easy game to make that mistake. 2 games came out around the same time this year. Very similar names. And that's one thing already I'm really excited about this conversation is I really feel like this year there's a lot of good games that came out, like a shitload. And so we all have like completely different games as our runner-ups. So, yeah, very cool. Anything else you guys want to say on those runner-ups before we move into our second runner-ups?
The only thing I was gonna say is the Outer Worlds is a game that I'm like curious to play, but I'm also kind of worried about playing because I never stick to those kind of games. But it looks neat, so I need to just give it a shot.
One thing I will say is, as it is, I would consider it open world, but you are put into zones.
Yeah, I've heard that a couple times now.
Which makes it more palatable to
structured.
To handle.
Yeah. No, it'd probably be a lot easier for me.
And I know you have a problem with, I was just completing stuff by planet. There are some, like, one of the companions, which are really fleshed out and good, by the way. Like, there's, like, this, kind of going on a tangent, but there's, like, this churchy guy named Max, and he uses a
Churchy
shotgun,
Max.
And you can command your companions to do a special move that they have. And his is just a shotgun. He's like, I learned this one in prison, and he pulls his shotgun out and he shoots into people, and it knocks them down.
Why did he learn that in prison?
Because he was in prison.
Yeah, but
why is he got a shotgun?
You're in questioning that.
Yeah, but like
in prison, it's fine.
Yeah, and he's like, my God will not judge, but I will, and he goes and just blows them away. Which works for me because if they're on the ground, then they're not attacking me, and I can just run up and cave their head in. But yeah,
jail.
some of the companion missions though, I've had to go on to multiple worlds to take care of. But
Chevy gets lost easy and doesn't do well with directions, so something a little more structured probably is a lot nicer for him. So then you're in the zone, you know where to go and shit.
Yep.
All right, so unless anybody else has anything to say on the first runner-ups, we'll move into our second runner-ups. I'll start this time. So I've been struggling with my runner-ups because both of them I think are really fantastic games. But when I think back on the two, one of them kept coming up as like, I really was passionate about this game. I played it. I talked about it a lot. I went back and played it. I found excuses to come back and play it again. I really fucking enjoyed it, really loved it. And I loved it so much I want more from it, like desperately. It brought me back to a time with this franchise that I was very, very happy with. And because of that, with Control, I was just like, this is good. Finally, this is really good. I like this a lot. But this other game, my second runner-up, is just so fucking good. I'm so happy that it exists. And that's the Resident Evil 2 remake. I fucking loved this game. I'm a big survival horror fan. And that genre kind of like went away for a while, and everyone knows Resident Evil was like the king of it for a long time. Silent Hill, in my opinion, took that from them, and Silent Hill is my second favorite franchise of all time. But Resident Evil used to be my favorite franchise until it got really actiony, and Resident Evil 2 remake, which I'm just gonna call Resident Evil 2 at this point, really brought it back to something that I think is just really fucking fantastic. Everything that you could possibly do to make that game better than the original, in my opinion, they did. Graphically, it's fucking amazing looking. I love that R engine. Everything that they make on it, I just love looking at. The game plays really well, plays really tight. The shooting feels good. Resources are scarce, which reminds me of the older games. The game's dark as fuck. It's creepy as fuck. Like anyone who knows me on this channel doesn't. I'm just gonna tell you, a lot of scary games don't do it for me. I see a lot of things coming up, and I'm like, whatever. Because all these games rely on these jump scares, and then when you play it again, you know what's coming. It's never gonna be scary again. Atmosphere and tension are really important in horror, and I think Resident Evil 2 nailed that. The game's fucking dark. There's just zombies kind of like, shambling around the fucking building in the dark. You go into a zone you've been in before and you didn't want to shoot that zombie, you ran past it. You're going to regret going back in there again because you don't know where the fuck he went or she, whatever. And the whole thing with like fucking Mr. X walking around the building, like there's just so many reasons in that game to not want to go forward, but you keep going forward because it's a really fun game to play. It's got a really engrossing story. Even if you played it before, they did some changes that were interesting but didn't break the canon that you know and love. The characters are done well. The redesigns are good. And I just really, really fucking loved playing that game. It really marries the older Resident Evil games and their atmosphere and their slower pace and tension with what Resident Evil 4 brought in to being an over-the-shoulder shooter. It's perfect. It's really, I mean, like, if my game of the year wasn't like, if I wasn't so fucking passionate about it, this would easily be a contender. I really liked this. I'm so excited about it that I want more Resident Evil. Resident Evil 7 was great, but Resident Evil 2 showed me that they can make something really fucking good. And I can't wait for Resident Evil 3. And Resident Evil 3 is my least favorite of the original Resident Evils. So I can't wait for that. I just want more. I want more Resident Evil. Want more from Capcom. Capcom is doing such a good job right now with all their games. They're just doing fucking great. And between Monster Hunter and what they're doing with Resident Evil and their other games,
DMC.
Let's get a Lost Planet. I know Dino Crisis, everybody's talking about that. I'll take that 100%. But I would love like a Lost Planet in the vein of 1 and 2, or remake those 1 and 2. Pretend 3 didn't happen, or make 3 more like 1 and 2. But yeah, Capcom's doing great. Resident Evil, I think, is a culmination of them just fucking nailing what they're doing and taking risks on taking essentially what Square Enix would be doing with Final Fantasy VII, a beloved game. When you remake that, you got to be like, we got to nail this because we're really going to piss people off if we fuck this up. Capcom nailed it. I mean, zero complaints. It's great. I fucking love it. So that is my second runner-up, and could have easily been my game of the year.
That's hands down how anybody should do a remake ever.
Oh yeah,
it's a great template to copy from because goddamn, is it good. Mm-hmm. It brings back like scared to being hit because med kits aren't fucking everywhere. It's, do I shoot this zombie? Yeah. And then you realize you just dumped 5 bullets into him, and that's and you're just wasting ammo then.
Yeah, you get that headshot on the one zombie, you're like, oh, thank you. But then one you just miss, like, fuck, that was one bullet I didn't want to waste. And like, a lot of games you don't have to feel like that, but in that game, not only is it scary to move forward, but also resources, that gets scary. You're like, fuck, I'm running out of shit.
It's part of the tension.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, trying to get to that next save room, when you're just like limping because, but then do you want to save because fuck, you're just
in a
saving.
shit situation, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, every move is important in that game.
Yeah. And like that engine, man, is wild. That's the same engine. Isn't Monster Hunter built off that engine too?
I don't know if it's the RE engine. Let us know in the comments. I know that Resident Evil 7 was the first game, I think, that came out in the RE engine. And that's why it looked fucking insane.
DMC's on it.
DMC's on it for sure. Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 will be on it. Dino Crisis, whenever we get that, because everybody's talking about that, and that just got the name got
patented.
Fucking, yeah. Which dinosaurs and those graphics will be fucking sick.
Horrifying.
Yeah, Lost Planet, please. We played that recently, and I still think that game looks pretty good. But if that game was on the RE engine, look fucking stupid.
And with
But I feel
modern
like
controls.
I feel like if yeah, for sure, modernize those fucking controls. I feel like if that game though, if Monster Hunter is not on the RE engine, let me know in the comments if you know that answer to that. If it's not on that, I feel like Lost Planet would be on Monster Hunter's engine because it has a similar jumping onto monsters, going in them, fucking shooting in an open area kind of vibe to it. So
For sure.
it would make more sense. But yeah, if they, I don't know how modular that engine is. A lot of the games that come out on the RE engine are, like more room to room third person games. So yeah. Yeah. Anything else? You were saying something?
Yeah. I was. No, but that engine's amazing. The feeling that you get again from them, because survival horror has been kind of, I would almost say, dead.
There's some indie horror games out there that are absolutely worth mentioning, and I think in the wake of all the big AAA horror games, you had companies come out with like Amnesia, Dark Descent, and Soma, which is just a better like story game, but it definitely is creepy. And then there's a lot of games out there. Outlast, I don't find those games that scary, but they're definitely passionate about those games and the atmosphere they're trying to build. They're really well made, and the story I think is interesting. That's not scary to me, but yeah, there's just a lack for me of the feeling I used to get when I played Resident Evil and Silent Hill, and I don't want to go any further. I'm like, I don't want to go, like, because it's really wearing on me at this point. A lot of the games nowadays are just like, well, what's happening? Okay, well, oh, you better run. And then you're like, it's more like a roller coaster. It's more like going into a fun house, whereas like you play Silent Hill or Resident Evil, and you're just like, you're thinking about more shit than just what's going to be the next scary thing. You're like, I'm fucking running out of ammo. This sucks.
Real quick story. When Resident Evil 2 first came out, I rented it. I was at my dad's house, and I played it. I was in there for like 3-4 hours just playing it. I got to where the crows burst in through the windows and shit like that. And I got called to dinner, and I came out of my room, and my dad and my mom were like, "What the fuck is the matter with you?" Because I guess I was all like red faced and like wide eyed, because I've never experienced anything like that before.
Oh yeah, that shit was scary back then.
So it was like, and Resident Evil 2, the remake, brought me back to that. Like, as I was like, had my headset on and stuff like that, every little ding and every little something you hear down the hall, you're like, fuck, what was that?
It's a dude in your 30s walking out to dinner, fucking dad's there. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
What the fuck is
You're
wrong
still red faced and wide eyed.
But yeah, so.
I don't want to talk about it.
And the remake elicits feelings like that again.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. It's my number 2, so second place. Anything else you guys want to say on the topic of Resident Evil 2?
I said I couldn't even add to it. So
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So Josh, what is your second pick for your runner-up?
Second pick for runner-up is Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Holy shit, we've already said everything that can be said. It pretty much doubled the game size.
It's like a whole other game.
They keep adding to it. It's a wild, that is a chunk of time and game. I'm over 200 hours in it, and Iceborne I've barely scratched the surface of. And every monster I fight, I'm like, fuck, this is wild. And when you first walk into Hoarfrost Reach, you're like, Jesus Christ, this is a whole new area. Like, this is
It's a way better area too.
Yeah, I was like, this is not some chintzy tacked on piece of like DLC. This is an expansion, and I think a lot of people have lost the meaning between expansion and DLC over the past
So much
years.
to the point that when we do get expansions, we appreciate them so much.
Yeah,
because they're rare.
Yeah, so just like how Witcher 3 won Game of the Year twice in a row, because it won because of its expansion the next year. Monster Hunter World is my runner-up.
I think about to just drop it as Game of the Year. I'm like, you just took a shortcut.
No,
it's my number 2 and 1.
Yeah, so it's just my runner-up. So it's there's really nothing else I can say about it. It's amazing.
Our community knows too.
Yeah.
Capcom all over the place here.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool though. It's
Yeah.
cool to be able to sail this shit. I mean,
I see it.
shout out to DMC5. I'm not a DMC guy, but fucking that game's dope.
Yeah, I'm trying to play it right now.
Yeah, it's not really my speed. It's not really my style, but I mean, it's quality. It's a quality ass game. It's fun to play.
100%. Yeah.
Looks fucking fantastic. Storyline wise, I'm like, I don't know.
Because it's a continuation. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Fucking brain melts. But yeah.
There's a bunch of dorks doing things that look really cool.
Especially V. That guy's a fucking dork.
I told you he doesn't like him. Chevy's talking about like, yeah, quit playing it at one point, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, Josh stopped playing as soon as fucking Kylo Ren took over the game.
Yeah.
I didn't quit playing it because of it. It definitely makes it hard for me to like want to turn it on though. So
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Yeah, I have to give another shout out to Iceborne though. It's in my top 5, but it's not in my top 3 because I played a lot of games this year, and there are some that hit me a lot harder than others. So,
yeah.
but Iceborne is fucking awesome. So, all right, Joey, what's your second pick for runner up?
Should I go ahead and do regrets now, or?
You can if you want. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Well, I didn't know if you had a structure in mind. So.
I'm gonna bring it up later when I talk about it.
I'll just wait then.
Okay.
It's not relevant. So this is going to be the first year that I'm going to say this. This was really hard for me.
Yeah, it's about time. That's my fucking.
I
Every
usually
year.
have a pretty clear-cut decision made.
This year was good.
See, I didn't have like such a like great like overall arcing year. I went through the whole list and I bought almost nothing this year. It's kind of crazy. Bought a lot of older games this year, but I did the games I did buy all kind of stuck with me really well apparently. So this very well could have been my number one, and the only reason it's not is because my long-term time investment isn't there with it. So but I'm gonna say my runner-up is Death Stranding. It is a fantastic game. Nothing like it exists.
It's very true.
It is a
Walking simulator.
very well-made game with very thoughtful controls, and the situations you're put in are very intentional. Like everything about that game is crafted for the journey from beginning to end. I put 80 hours into the game. You can beat it in 40. So
There's people out there going, I'd be in 20. I'm like,
you
dude.
didn't play it. Yeah.
Play the game, man. He's running in a straight line.
There's
I
still
gotta go.
plenty for me to complete in the game too.
Oh, yeah.
So I can go back and play it, and I probably will because it is a blast for me to play. I do realize that's not going to be everyone's case, but storyline wise, and I think you actually brought, when we were talking before, you said something I really do agree with, which is you have to play it to get the full thing. You can watch it, you can get the story, but I've kind of said before, it reminds me of Frodo taking the ring to Mordor.
Yeah, we've talked about it a couple times.
Yeah.
It's similar to that aspect of making that journey.
Yeah, and without experiencing the struggle of the journey, the reward, the payoff is not as impactful.
Yeah. Yeah, I would never tell anybody to not watch it if that's the way they want to take in that story, especially if they know they're not going to play it, but they want to know a story. Yeah, that's fine because it's a fantastic story. But the gameplay is so much a part of the experience, and you can say about any game, but the gameplay is crafted to make you feel like you took that journey. You took every step. You had to calculate everything. You had to think about the terrain and where you went and all that shit. And I know people oversimplify that into the only gameplay in the game or whatever, but it really matters when you beat that game and you get the outcome that happens with the story and you go, I did that. I did this all. And there was people with me that supported me on this journey. And there's other players who were there with me who experienced this journey together. And it's really, by design, a very artistic experience that is I've never experienced in a game.
Well, part of the struggle too is there's not just like, you're not just taking, a box from here to there constantly. Like sometimes you're moving a corpse, and sometimes you're moving something that can't be like rustled too hard or it'll break, or sometimes you have to hold a certain, like there's all these modifiers and variables that make it that much harder. And not necessarily hair pulling harder, but just enough to where you have to think about what you're doing. And you're constantly...
It's not mindless, yeah.
Yeah, you're in there thinking about the journey the whole time you're taking it. There's a lot of tools at your disposal. You can play completely different from other people. I know the stories that I've shared, have been different than what I've received back in that regard. The music's great. The voice acting is great. The entire cast did a wonderful job. And obviously Kojima did a great job directing it. I want to give a shout out. We've done this before, but a shout out to Sony for funding such a weird project and idea. This game shouldn't exist. 100% just should not exist.
Yeah, an indie developer couldn't have made this game. It's too big of a game budget-wise. And a AAA developer should never got the green light to make a game like this because this is an indie idea.
100%. Yeah, it's not a safe bet.
Yeah,
so.
It's not a third-person shooter. It's not a first-person shooter. It's not a big open-world RPG. It's not a fighting game. It's not a racing game. It's its own thing. It's a third-person action game on a technical level.
That's like a really good way to put it, is an indie idea and a AAA game.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And like I
don't
said,
have the balls to fund a fucking game where certain parts of the game you have to really calculate and worry about your balance in a game. So
yeah, and in any other year, this would have absolutely been my number one. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's awesome to hear because it's a fantastic game. So all right, anything else you guys want to say on Death Stranding? No. All right, we're getting ready. We're getting into the fucking in under an hour. Wow. Getting into our game of the years. We have more discussion though to talk about. We're going to be talking about the whole year in general, but also Chevy kind of alluded to it a little bit. I have a lot of regrets this year that I want to discuss. Chevy also has some. I'm sure Josh will have some that'll pop up as we go. He's a little less prepared. He came over last minute, but I'm glad you made it. Chris also is in here. You guys probably noticed that. We'll get his runner-ups in Game of the Year and full discussion.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Next episode we have him on. His work schedule is not as friendly. Yeah, so let's jump into Game of the Year. Game of the Year obviously is whatever, however far you played into it, whatever's the most memorable, whatever you think about. Like, man, in 2019, I played all these fucking games, and this one is the best. This is the one that I like the most. This is the one I always come back to, and that's pretty much how I'm going to gauge it, and I'm assuming everybody else will gauge it that way. I'm not very strict on the rules when it comes to this, so as long as it's not like, hey, about that fucking $10 DLC for a game I bought 4 years ago.
Sweet cosmetic item. It's my Game of the Year.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly. So yeah, let's start with Josh. What is your Game of the Year of 2019?
Game of the Year 2019 is Death Stranding. I immediately enjoyed this game. Like literally right after the first cutscene stops and you're walking down to the first city. And you're collecting your packages along the way that fell off. I was like, there's something here and this is fucking amazing and I'm gonna love this fucking game.
Which is awesome to hear, but it's so funny how divisive this game is because you either love it, you start playing, everyone who loves it start playing, they go, oh shit, I like this, and then people are like, fuck that game, I ain't playing it. It's like it's so crazy that like it's just like that, black and white. But anyway, sorry.
It's the story, the voice acting, it's already eliciting, it definitely elicits a emotional response from you. You do feel like you are with Sam on his journey across America. And there's one time you said that you mentioned that you just let Sam sleep.
Yep.
And there were times, there were times that I like rested and I was like, we're just going to rest for a bit. Because I was like, Jesus Christ.
I literally had a moment where I was trudging through the snow, and my stamina was pretty much gone. And then all of a sudden, I got into a BT encounter, and I had to run from it because I didn't have any weapons or anything on me. And I was just like, okay, sorry, Sam, you got to keep going. Like, and I'm running. You can hear him the whole time. He's just huffing and puffing, and he's like pretty much asking himself to rest. I'm like, we literally can't right now. We got to keep going. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Like, and I felt bad the whole time because I was like, you got to push through this.
Which is wild. We're dead. You're playing a video game.
So, and then I got to the end of it. I was like, sit down.
Yeah, it's just little things like that. Like you connect instantly with a lot of the characters. BB. I instantly was like, no, this is mine now. And,
BB's my favorite.
And nothing is ever going to hurt you. unless it's me falling off a fucking ladder.
I hurt you. No one else does.
But I love all the tools you can use. It's another one of those games that everybody can have a different story. Once I got those blood grenades, the good ones, not the ones you get from shitting, but the other ones.
The good Hermetic grenades.
Yeah. Like I got caught by the BTs one time because I was like, I wasn't thinking and I held my breath for too long. And Sam was like, and fucking and the dude was like, oh, and it grabbed me and it sucked me under and it puts you in that black pool. And they're all trying to grab you. I just went boom with a grenade at my feet, and they'd go to rise out and they just dissolve away.
Yeah, see, I never did that.
I'm like, well, that was an easy way to take care of that. And then now, I upgraded to the Bola launcher because you can wrap up the BTs with it and wreck them then. So it was there's so many different tools to use, even though you may not use them all. There's tools the smoke bombs that knock out mules and stuff like that. And we just had a discussion on this. The timefall shelters. So it's just you literally can play however you want to play, and it doesn't punish you for it in any way. Everything about that game, I'm finding that I just love. Every little bit of it. There's nothing. I don't have any complaints about that game at all. Even when I'm stressed out and all of a sudden timefall starts to happen and the BTs show up and I'm like, fuck, but it's not like it's more of like, wow, this is a bummer for Sam.
Yeah.
Not that I'm having to maneuver through all this.
Yeah, because you start caring for Sam and BB on that journey, and so like you're more so just trying to get them to safety, get them to where they need to go. So yeah, when you get into those BT sections, you're like, God damn it, this is fucked. But like you're just trying to get them through that area and move on.
So you don't have to keep hearing.
I love that shit. Anytime you walk into a BT area, I'm still not sick of it. As soon as you walk in, BB's like, oh, and the thing goes. I like how like he must have been sleeping or something. He's like wakes up, feels BT. He's like, oh, and then the whole time he's like, He's the whole time he's just not happy about this BT shit. And then fucking after he's like, just fucking stoked about it. I'm like, all right.
What stresses me out the most though is like when something happens and like BTs are there, and like let's say one time I wasn't paying attention. I took a tumble and I landed on fucking BB. And he started crying, but I was in the middle of a BT area, and I was like, you need to shut the fuck up. I was like, I can't deal with you right now. And
just fucking shut the fuck up.
But it's like wah.
Oh, he'll fucking go nuts.
And he just goes and goes and goes. I'm like, please just get through it. I was like, I'll rock you all day long. I don't even care. But I was like, buddy,
just shut up.
Buddy, we just need to get through this.
The last I've ever heard fucking BB fucking cry was when I threw that grenade and blew up that fucking dude. When I never threw a grenade before. I was like, I'm gonna try it. I fucking threw it because they're like, don't kill anybody. And I'm like, okay. But I was like, fuck it. Threw the grenade and it went boom, and fucking shrapnel went everywhere, and a guy went flying, and fucking BB's like, I'm like, and I was scared. I was like, oh shit. And like the first time I ever fell down and BB started crying, I'm already stressed out. I'm like, oh shit. And my packages go everywhere, and the BB's like, wah. I'm like, oh my god. And then there's BTs and shit, like, but fucking that time I threw that grenade, boom, and fucking I was like, holy shit. And then BB's like, I was like, whoa. And I'm like, I was in the middle of a fight. I'm pulling a gun, shooting and shit. And I'm like, oh my god. And like BB's just freaking out. I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna live. Like, it's just out of my hands completely. I was like, oh my god.
I love the animation, like when you're rocking them. Mm-hmm. If you let go of the L button, you zoom back out to third person, and BB's making the arm. Yeah, the arm into a mobile. Mm. It's like spinning for him. It's playing like a lullaby. I'm like, there's such little weird things like that about the game.
Constantly.
All the weird movements that Schmigus does in your private room. Like there's some times I'll just be like I'll swing over to the shower, but I won't press the button yet. And he points at it. And he's like, please.
Like, or he'll point at the food and he goes like this. He's like,
Yeah.
because he's hungry or something
Yeah.
like that.
You get him to punch you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you zoom in on his dick,
Yeah, if
he's
you-
fucking. He gets
That
bash-
happens?
Yeah, he gets
Yeah,
bashful.
Chris. He's like, "Hey, zoom in on his crotch." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "No, zoom
Of course,
in on his
Chris
crotch."
would know that.
And you zoom in, and he starts putting his hands like this, and you can see he's getting uncomfortable, and then he'll like point up, and then finally he gets up, he holds the camera and punches it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind
I
of like a weird fourth wall moment, like with the monster.
It reminds me of 2B when you try to look up her skirt, and she gets pissed off about it. So
And yeah, so it's all those little things, like even the simple shit, like looking in the mirror and making him do all the weird faces.
that was just showing off, is
And,
what that is.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
look at this
but, like,
mocapping.
But yeah,
You
it
can
was
see
just
down
like
his throat.
there's literally no reason for that to be in there, but it's just there.
Yep.
You
And you
know,
can take
so-
pictures there and shit.
Yeah, all the weird, all the things that Norman Reedus says about, like almost fourth wall breaking. Like if you trip a lot, he's like, "Fuck, get it together," you know. And like one time I got up from
Almost
resting.
fourth wall breaking, but that's stuff that I think most people would say to themselves.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
a
yeah.
I talk
situation
to
that
myself all the
sucks.
time when I'm pissed at myself.
Yeah, but it does almost sound like a like a critique to you.
They're definitely audio cues. but-
Yeah, and
You,
like
you could definitely interpret it that way, but also it's just like if you're walking, stub your fucking toe, you're like, fuck.
yeah, or like
Nice.
when he's like resting and you go to get up, he's like, oh fuck. He's like, fuck. All right, let's do this. You know, and
I've literally had him be like, "Fuck this, man."
yeah, yeah. There's still shit I hear all the time I've never heard before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been going on and on and on and on.
Oh, that's fine. It's your game of the year.
Death Stranding's hands down my game of the year. It's one of the only games this year that I just walking. It's almost tragic feeling. Like I just get like a weird sense of calm and almost melancholy.
Oh, yeah.
As I'm just wandering through the wilderness.
You're walking across a fucking barren
Country.
landscape that some areas have been decimated. There's no life to be seen, and you're surrounded by the dead, trying to reconnect people who are all disconnected to Low Roar, which is essentially, I think they're from Poland, fucking the Shins meets Radiohead, so it's just fucking real chill. And yeah, you get, but that's the thing. That's the fucking beauty of that game is everything about it, visually, musically, everything is so somber in its tone. And but you got BB, who's like a fucking shining light of positivity, and then all the people around you who are going through the same fucking journey with you are all there, reminding you constantly and helping you on your journey. You're helping them on their journey. So it's dark and grim in some ways, but there's always this positive energy around you. It's fucking. I've never felt anything like that in a game.
Yeah, it's you do see those little beacons of light, kind of lighting your way. So yeah, so it made me feel, and I when I'm working, I think about like that somber feeling and stuff like that, and I'm like, I want to go home and play Death Stranding. I was like, I want to keep subjecting myself to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's hands down my game of the year, and I'll be happy to explore a lot more hours with it.
Oh, you will. There's plenty to do in that fucking game. Yeah. Very good pick. Very happy to hear that. Chevy, let's jump into your pick for game of the year, unless you have something else to say.
Well, I'm sure most people probably have a good idea if you've been on the channel for long enough.
I know what your pick is, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you know what mine is as well. So
Is it Elsewhere, Elder Scrolls?
Yeah, 100%.
that's so pitiful. You said that. Is it Elsewhere?
So the like I mentioned with my runner up is they were super close, and the big reason that this one wins for me is my personal time investment over years on and off playing it, and this year just playing it literally all year.
Fucking A.
So my game of the year is Final Fantasy XIV, Shadowbringers. It is. And you read a bunch of reviews, you're going to read the same thing, and there's a reason for it.
They all
But
say what you say. It's crazy.
it is probably one of the best Final Fantasy storylines that has been written in a very long time. It is one of the best villains in a series. It has some of the best music I've heard in Final Fantasy.
It's got bangers.
The story itself also retroactively makes the 2.0 or Realm Reborn story better by existing. So like, not only is it good on its own, but it improves the past storyline of the game.
Ryan Johnson needs to learn that trick.
God, I can't say too much because I don't want to spoil too much about it. But like, you go through this entire journey from beginning to end, being told a very well constructed story. You're guided through it the whole way, and you are constantly just like waiting to see what happens next. And they did a really good job with that, and I can't emphasize that enough. The only downfall is that you have to put in full game's worth of time through 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0 just to even get to it.
You gotta earn it.
So a lot of
Talk
people,
about journey.
yeah, it's not something you can just hop into, unfortunately, unless you want to buy your way in, and it cheapens the story.
Yeah, that's a game I would never want to skip forward in.
No,
There's too much investment.
Unfortunately, the game design is designed for people to play it at their own pace. Even the game director Yoshida has stated he wants people to feel like they can play other games because he likes to play other games too. So he doesn't want people feeling like they have to live in the game, which is very counter to what an MMO should be anyways.
Fuck yeah, it is. They don't want you to leave.
So I really appreciate him and his entire team. They want to make sure that it's a game that you want to come back to, but also that you don't feel like you're stuck in. They wrote an amazing story. Like I said, I still go back to the music again. I listen to that soundtrack almost every day.
True.
Soken has done a very good job with that.
Bangers.
Got bangers.
I mean,
There's bangers on there. That near song.
Oh, that near song's
But
fucking
it's
good.
Okabe did that one, but yeah, it's really good.
It's a banger. Nonetheless.
And I'm excited to see where it goes in the future now. I always was interested in the story, but never super involved. Obviously, most people who play the game are going to say Heaven's Ward was really good, and I would agree in that regard. But I personally, Shadowbringers, amazing story. My only thing is I really wish I could get Seth to get invested enough to get to that point, because I think you would also very much enjoy the story of it, especially because I know, and I just kind of telling of the villain, but the villain is very similar to Arden from Final Fantasy 15. So if you're a fan of him, the villain in Shadowbringers is going to be right at home for you.
And that character, I went from going who's this fucking dork? And then I beat the game and I was like,
very similar.
oh my God, Arden's been through so much.
Yeah, so
I understand him.
Arden did nothing wrong.
Yeah. Well, and this is one thing I have to give credit to Square recently too, is their villains aren't just evil. They have nuance, which super important to make a good villain anyways. Actually didn't go back to Death Stranding as well. That was one thing I was kind of bummed out about with that game, is the person that is portrayed as a villain for a long time needed more. So
yeah, that's a bit revealing, but yeah. There's a character, that I feel like is underwritten. Not underwritten, but underutilized.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and it's hard to say too much because obviously that game's very...
I would love to just have a straight up spoiler talk right fucking now, but Josh is here and I want him to experience it. So
for sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say about it. That's my game of the year, so...
Yeah, I knew it was going to be earlier on this year just because obviously you played a lot, but then all the good things you said about it and then all the reception I've seen on any reviews that have covered it have all been 9.5s and shit and saying all the same stuff you say. They all agree with you, saying it's one of the best Final Fantasy stories, which is a big fucking talk. Saying the story's fantastic, it's the best of that game. All the stuff that they added is really good. People do mention the soundtrack, which as a guy who typically mentions soundtracks when I talk about games a lot, because it's a bit important thing to me, or lack of. When normal reviews start talking about that, it was obviously something noteworthy. So, and I've heard the whole soundtrack. I've heard Chevy's played it plenty of times, and yeah, I think it's really good. So, it's very experimental for what I would assume from any game, really, but an MMO for sure. It has a unique flair to it. So, and when we talk about games that I wish I would have played more this year, it is one of the games. I mean, I'm a little behind to be playing that content, but I do regret not making more of an effort of trying to get towards it because I've heard nothing but stellar things. So I'm not surprised that you picked that. Especially with the time investment. You've put a lot of time into that game in general. So if something really good comes out for it, why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't be able to give you time. it's hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Anything else? You gonna play Final Fantasy 14 ever? You gonna return?
Yeah, probably, maybe.
That doesn't sound promising at all.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's just it took me 55 levels to realize that I'm not a big fan of Black Mage, so I'm a little irritated about that.
Yeah,
There's
you should
a
just drop that shit.
common theme with that job when I try to get people to play the game. So I'm never recommending that job to newbies.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little boring.
I'm glad I didn't touch it.
Well, because
Play fucking Monk. It's fun.
no, I if I come back, I'll play Warrior probably.
Play something just more active, more you're doing something. Even when I started with Monk, and I really enjoy Monk. When I played other classes, I almost felt guilty, like I wasn't doing enough. But that's what you're supposed to do with those roles.
Melee keeps you busy.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Monk though, you're dancing all over the fucking place,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of combos and shit. So like, you're never like just watching and going, okay, nuke. Okay, watching like you're constantly going.
Max level Black Mage is way more nuanced, but the journey getting there.
Yeah, and that's kind of a theme with that game. Is you gotta, but it's a Japanese game, and Japanese games like to reward you for time investment.
100%.
And I also hated the close. I know I'm nowhere near end game to get.
Yeah,
like,
you're talking 2.0 close, and I 100% agree with you.
near.
Dude, the
Yeah,
monk
but-
is typically wearing like a bra and some fucking speedos. Like some little tight shorts.
Subligar.
I'm fucking Gandalf the Orange. I have a stupid ass wide brimmed hat and a robe that's just bright orange.
Sounds stupid.
Yeah, I didn't dye this shit. It was given to me like that. And my fuck, what's that race name? The large guys, the Rogadin.
Yes, Rogadin.
Close.
You know, like them in these big stupid robes. I'm like, you look dumb. You look dumb. So
It's
They
tricky,
do look funny in those.
but they also, and you've brought this up before, but they have like very like distinguished faces.
Stoic, inquisitive,
so-
scholarly.
One of their jobs in their city is scholar. So
And that's funny because before he ever told me that, I said all this shit, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's funny," and I was like, "So they did a really good job on designing them because that's just what it looked like to me."
you said that about one time, and this is a weird example, and it's an older example, but I was doing a dungeon one time, and you're like, the music's very like you were like it's very playful and like whimsical. I was like, well, I'm fighting a bunch of Mughals, like in a
Yeah.
very whimsical sense. So
Yeah, it reminded me of fucking almost like Danny Elfman or something. I was just like, fucking like Night Before Christmas type shit.
Yep. Yeah, they're really good about like
Yeah, even before Shadowbringers, the soundtrack of that game has always been really good. But it's Final Fantasy; you have to have good music. Like they don't fuck around with that.
no, Nobu was involved a lot in the early Final Fantasy 14. So
Like Boo from Mario, no Boo
Uematsu. So
is going in this game.
I'll sing a Dragon Ball Z.
It's a bad fucking dad joke. Anything else?
no.
No.
You guys think about it? All right, so no surprise to anybody, but my game of the year is Death Stranding as well. It is by far my favorite experience this year in gaming. I played a lot of games, and there's a lot of really good games this year. The reason Death Stranding stands out is first and foremost, I'm a Kojima fanboy, so whatever he makes, I follow, I'll play it. Even his weaker games, I'm like, yeah, it's still good. But Death Stranding, secondly, is a really fucking unique experience, something I haven't experienced in gaming, something that has been very effective for me in being an emotional experience, being an investing experience. From beginning to end, I loved my whole experience with that game. Although before the game came out, I knew it'd be divisive. While playing it, I knew it would be divisive. And for anybody who does not like the game, I understand. As long as you're not a dick about it and have a conversation, I'm all about it. But yeah, that game was not made for everybody. But for the people that it does do something for, it seems to do something. It seems to do a lot for them. I think not only is it one of the most impactful experiences I've had this year, but most impactful experience I've had in many years. I haven't played a game like this where I felt like this, I would say, since The Last of Us or Metal Gear Solid 4. So it did what I wanted. It had an impact. So yeah, going into it graphically, I think it's a gorgeous, beautiful game. Technically and in design, the landscapes are unique in the sense that I've never seen a game that looks like this. And you could go, it's a lot of fields. It's really detailed, especially the different regions and stuff. They are all very different. They all have this bleak look to them, but it does vary. And the gameplay is very reliant on the terrain as well. So as you go further in the game, it gets more hard to go through certain areas, and you start appreciating all the things that make that journey easier. But yeah, graphically it looks great. Character models are fantastic looking in this game, and during cutscenes sometimes they look almost real, and that's very impressive. The Decima engine, shout out to Guerrilla Games for making that engine that already looked great with Horizon Zero Dawn. Looks even better, as you would assume with a newer game with Death Stranding, but the team at Kojima Productions did something completely different than Guerrilla Games did with that engine, and it just shows me that engine can do some really amazing things. Gameplay wise, this game resonated with me. I've played plenty of games that are, you got to travel to places in MMOs and fucking open world RPGs and stuff like that. But with a game like this, it's trying to really push an experience that is really something you want to get to the end with, and the gameplay resonates with that. A lot of the beginning of the game is a lot of traveling by different means through different terrains and different experiences, but there's all these nuances that make that travel interesting, in my opinion. Of course, in the beginning of the game, there's a lot of balancing. You put too much shit on or carry too much stuff, and you have to worry about balancing, similar to like going across a rope in most games. It has a system where you're trying to maintain both sides of your balance. But later in the game, you start getting tools to not only make that experience more interesting or easier, but to different degrees, doing it the way you want to do it. I've talked to a lot of people who went through different areas completely different than I did with different equipment, and it really gives you a varying experience that I really enjoy. And then also in the shooting segments of the game, I think it's really tight. It plays really well. It has a lot of varied ways to go about combat. When you choose to do that, you can stealth in this game as well, which I think people don't talk about enough. A lot of times when I mess with mules or terrorists, I would sneak up on them and take them out as silently as I could until shit hit the fan and I pull out a gun or other tools in the game. Driving is interesting because it's kind of stiff, but it's almost needed because the terrain's so fucked up that you want to be more calculated in the way you move. So I don't know if that's by design or not, but I don't mind it.
All the vehicles also kind of like transform too, so I think it would be hard for them to do that if they were loose feeling too. So
for sure, I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it's something worth mentioning.
I would say that's probably janky is not the right word, because there's really nothing in that game that's janky, but the vehicles,
they're just stiff feeling.
Yeah, well, like there's been like a couple times I'll be like driving and I'll be like, it's in rough terrain, and then the engine doesn't know what to do with the physics at that point in time, so like my bike just goes and does like a wheelie over.
One time my bike went up a tree and then launched out of the forest, which was beneficial because I had people shooting at me. But I was like, I was like, ooh, that was weird, but it helped me, so fuck it.
There was another time I had a going into the wind farm in the very first map. Down one of the sides there was a fucking mountain rope, and I was climbing it and walking up the hill, but then he just stopped and I just started climbing into the sky, and I was just in the sky, and I was like, well, what do I do? So then I slid back down the rope, and then it just worked like normally. But
I never experienced that weird
one. Yeah.
The only bug I ran into was that one where I fucking went up the tree. But I was driving like a really dense forested area with like logs on the ground and rocks and trees everywhere and shit. And I was like fucking popping wheelies over all the shit trying to get around while people were shooting at me. And then I just happened to go, I got stuck on a log, went whoop, up the tree and whoop, flew out. I'm like, that got me out of the fucking woods.
I do like the control you have with the vehicles enough to... It does take into consideration the terrain and how...
Well, sometimes you're going up like a fucking cliffside with a motorcycle, which is already fucked up. But like, if you were all like loose and shit with that vehicle, it would be way more difficult than like having that like more stiff feeling of like being more calculated up the terrain. It's also very generous about letting you over certain terrain.
Oh yeah,
which I think is nice because even though it's not necessarily realistic, it's more so gameplay wise. The game's never trying to be difficult. It's more about the experience. The difficulty is part of the journey, but it's never trying to be unfairly difficult. So it does assist you in certain ways.
Yeah, I make my own difficulty by fucking invading mule camps and getting my ass knocked out and dumped into a fucking valley.
That sounds like a difficulty. But yeah, gameplay, I really enjoy it. I really like the micromanaging aspect. I like going into my inventory and changing up the balance of it, pre-planning my journeys. If you're somebody who's trying to get into something where you're just going to jump in and start shooting or jumping or platforming, there is some of that in this, but I think you will enjoy this game more if you are into micromanaging and kind of taking your time with doing the missions. It's not a fast-paced game at all. And I really, really kind of dug that. Yeah, so I really enjoy the gameplay. The story's amazing. It's one of the best stories I've experienced in a game in a long time. Like I said, I'm a fan of Kojima and his writing. So even though he can be convoluted and kind of lose you, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not, he's grown as a writer and a director to the point where he can establish what he was trying to get across by the end of the game. And he has he typically likes to end his games big and emotional, and this game is the same. But I really like his structure of being intentionally kind of confusing and then revealing things. It gives you more things to invest in other than the gameplay as you progress through the game. And yeah, without going into any of the beats of the story, it's a very good story. It's very impactful. The end did make me cry. I expected that though. I fucking when I played Metal Gear Solid 4, seeing Big Boss, fucking spoilers, fucking dying in the fucking graveyard with Solid Snake, two people who have been fighting each other for years, and Solid Snake is lighting his fucking cigar for him, and they're having this moment together. I was like, holy fuck, this is emotional shit right here. Same thing with Death Stranding. By the end of the game, I was like, wow, this is intense. I love it. So yeah, story's really good, really nuanced, a lot of things going on, but also has this underlying message that I think is really important in 2019, and that is people are fragmented, disconnected, and it's good to connect with people. That's the whole. There's the story, but the underlying message is a really good one. It's all there. The idea of like helping people, and they'll help you back, and they'll appreciate your help, just like you appreciate other people's help. And yeah, it's a whole metaphor of just trying to reconnect everybody. I think it's a really good message. They don't overplay it in the sense of like being really dorky about it, but it is always present through expanding the chiral network in the game and reconnecting everyone within the game, all the NPCs and within the story. Sam's journey as a person who not only is disconnected from people socially, but also he has a phobia of being touched. And of course, helping other players and having them help you inadvertently, not necessarily pre-planning, although some people do. Not all your stuff carries over to other people's games, but some of it does randomly, and some people might find that and find it helpful, like I did, and it reminds you that you're not alone. And it's a very, very cool system that I think is really fun in a gameplay way, but also really impactful in a social way, which is amazing. I've never seen it in a game.
They also spent you could tell they spent a lot of time trying to make sure that system worked out well too, because the game will never give you things that you haven't seen yet, that other people, they could be there and you'll get them the moment you unlock it.
Yeah.
But it also, like you said, they could have an entire area completely, we'll say designed a certain way. You won't get all of it. You'll get a piece from this guy, a piece from this person, a piece from this person, and they'll be randomly placed all over the place. And it always seems like it's intentionally enough to be like, I could use this if I expand upon it.
Well, for instance, I was building a zipline system through the mountains in the game. I'm not going to go too far into that area, but because it's later in the game. But so I don't have to trudge through the mountains anymore, and it was super beneficial. But every once in a while, I'd run into other people's zip lines, just a singular zip line, and I was like, "What the fuck are they doing? Why did they just build this here?" Then I started realizing, oh, they have a zip line system out here as well. This is just part of it. And then I started incorporating, if it was well placed, part of their zip line into my zip line system.
Yeah. And if you don't like it, you can remove them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I find ones that didn't work for my zipline system and I take them out because I don't want to look at it. It didn't help me and maybe it would like derail where I was going on my zipline system. And I would look at parts of my zipline system and some of it had a bunch of likes and some of them had 0. And I can only imagine that that one's being used. It's in a place that people are finding and they're going, hey, this is a good spot. I'm going to expand my system here as well. And it's just a really, really cool system. It's a weird social system. I also love that the game only lets you like. It's
which is EXP as well.
Yeah, which is EXP as well, which is very clever. I think it's a really neat system. That it's a positive XP system. Like it's really weird. There's no negativity in the game. There are people who try to troll other people with vehicles, stuff like that. It's gonna happen, but not that I'm looking. I mean, I play Call of Duty, so I'm used to fucking negativity, and I'm more than capable of dealing with it. I'll throw it right back at you. But it's nice to play a game that is encouraging in a not so Nintendo way of just taking away like voice chat or something like that. Of just encouraging like, hey man, fucking, it's cool to help people, and you're gonna get helped, and that's dope. Like you're trudging through the fucking mountains, and all of a sudden you're looking at the cliffside and you see a rope. And you didn't put that there. Someone else put that there. And you fucking go up and you're like, whoa, that fucking saved me time. That made that way easier. I got to get somewhere fucking. And you hit that like button. You're like, thanks, dude. And it's telling that person as it's happening that they're getting likes for that. Or someone used that rope or whatever. Really cool system. Love it. So yeah, story's great. Graphics are great. Gameplay is awesome. I enjoy it, but it's not for everyone for sure. I get that. But there's more to it than just walking, definitely, if you play it further. And yeah, the fucking acting's fantastic. Like fucking, I don't like Norman Reedus in anything. I like him in this. I jokingly said, watch Hideo Kojima fucking direct him in a way I like. You know, it might sound like I'm a fanboy, but he nailed it. He used him in a way that his character is more of a quiet, reserved, kind of Joe everyone kind of dude. So you recognize, you know, with Norman Reedus, he plays him exactly how you would recognize a character like that, which is really cool, and I think he does a really good job. And in the more emotional parts, he does it fine. He does it great, and that's awesome because there's this good contrast between his character who's trying to be disconnected from people, and you know, in further parts of the game where you know more social things are happening that affect him. You start seeing his character evolve.
He has a much broader range later, yeah.
Very cool to see. And I didn't know Norman Reedus could nail that because typically people cast him as like some dorky little gangster kid or some hillbilly with a crossbow, and that shit's so boring to me. So they did a really good job. But also shout out to everyone else in the cast. Everyone in this game is fucking fantastic. One person I don't see enough people talk about is the guy who played Die Hardman. Something Lee Jenkins, Jesse Lee Jenkins,
yeah,
I think his name is. He's fucking awesome, especially towards the end of the game. He kind of serves as like a dude who kind of guides you in where you're going. But later in the game, he gets more story to him, and the story's interesting. But his performance is fucking really good. I'm glad that he has that range, and they showed it. The girl who plays, I gotta be careful with that. Your sister and mother. I forgot her name. But she played
Amelie?
Yeah, Amelie. But yeah, in the game.
Wendy.
I don't know her name.
Something.
Yeah. She does a fantastic job as well. I think it's really neat that actor is older, and she played 2 characters of different ages. It's really neat to see that in a game because they've been doing that in movies lately, but you don't really see that in games very often. That's where this all originated. That technology in movies is from fucking games, essentially. Yeah, everyone's fucking awesome. There's some characters who were played that aren't revealed in the trailer, so I'm not going to reveal them here. Yeah, Troy Baker, I do feel was underutilized, but I think he does great for what he's given. And Mads Mikkelsen is fucking awesome. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, I love
really great performances. Really great with this story that's supposed to be powerful. They all bring it, and they did a great job. And then lastly, I mean, I could sit here and talk forever. I do have a review I'm writing. Hopefully it comes out at some point. The music and the sound design is really good in this game. Sound design, I'm being particular about because I am particular about that. But they really put a lot of work into everything that you're doing, all the things you interact with and touch, all the surfaces that you walk on, the terrain you walk on, breathing, all these little details, all these little signifiers of things happening.
Fucking mouth noises.
Mouth noises. Yeah. There's like all sorts of shit going on in this game, and that takes work. You can just make some generic footstep sounds in a game, and typically that's as much as you really expect. But everything, even the guns, when you pull them out, they make noise and like all this shit. It's really well done. And then the soundtrack's phenomenal. What Ludwig Forsell did with the soundtrack of the game, or the score of the game, is really fucking good. Really fits the world. BB's theme is really good. I love that song. And then the soundtrack of the game done by Low Roar and Churches. There's a couple other people there that I'm
Silent Posts.
Poets.
Yeah.
And then a band I don't like. I forgot fucking what song they do, but that's fine. Fantastic. I'm a huge Low Roar fan. I've already listened to their albums like a lot before this game came out. So as I played through it, I just realized they got access to their whole discography, and they put every single song out of their discography into the game, which I was like, I've never played a game that was just full of music I love like that. So I'd like run into like a new region and a song I know starts playing. I'm like, all right. And then fucking go into this area, another one starts playing. I'm like, all right, like this is fucking great. But yeah, Churches, their song, not really my style of music, but it fits this game really well. And by the time you hear it, you're like, that's a fucking banger. That fucking worked. So, yeah, I just really fucking adore this game, and I get it's not for everyone, and I accept that. I wouldn't even try to argue with you about you should like it. If you don't, you don't. It's very experimental, and like Chevy said earlier, I can't believe it got greenlit, but it did, and it's so good that I'm glad that Kojima had to stop making Metal Gear Solid, which is my favorite series of all time, to make this game, because without that he would have never made this game. Silent Hills, a game I really wanted to play, got canceled, and if it didn't get canceled, we wouldn't have got Death Stranding. So everything happened, and I'm glad it did, because Death Stranding got created, and I can't wait to see what Kojima does next. This is absolutely one of his best games he's made, and that's high praise because I love everything that he makes. But yeah, game of the year, easy for me. As I was playing it, I was like, this could be game of the year. Definitely could be game of the year. But then when I beat it, I was like, nothing's going to surpass that. Nothing's going to affect me that way. So obviously gameplay and fun is a big factor, but it's very rare that I get a impactful, emotional experience like nothing that I've experienced in games. So yeah, very important to me. I'm a big fan of the emotions. So
yeah, I think the game offers just a little bit of everything, which is also very impressive, because a lot of games are very like good at like doing a thing, and I think, and we run into it all the time, obviously, you know, not like in excess, but like to use the example, like God of War was, you know, game of year, I believe it was last year for me. That was a game that kind of hit all notes for me. This is another game that's kind of like that too. It just kind of hits all the notes. It's got all the things to make that game of the year.
yeah.
You know, obviously pacing, I think, is going to be a huge deterrent for a lot of people with this. But I think
Definitely.
if you can get into it, like I said, it really does have everything. So
Yeah. Really enjoyed it. Anything else you guys want to say?
no,
So 2 Death Strandings and a Shadowbringers,
yeah,
which is
almost 3 Death Strandings.
Yeah, which is really
Almost.
cool. And I know there's people in this community who didn't enjoy it, so you know, let us know in the comments what your favorite game of this year was, and let's have a conversation about it. So, because this community, we talk about shit on Twitter. You know, you talk about something and you're like, "Fuck that, I hate it." I'm like, "Okay, cool," but what's your opinion on it? I fucking hate it. Okay,
And I brought it up
as far as it goes.
in the Discord as well. But if you have a top 3, I'd love to see it in the comments below. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's this. Obviously, the channel's all about the conversation. So let us know in the comments, what are your 2 runners up? What's your game of the year? Why? Fucking write me paragraphs. You guys know fucking I love reading that shit, and I'll try and respond to all of them. Yeah. So good game of the year discussion. Let's jump into one topic that I wanted to talk about. Because looking at this list this year, I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of stuff that I wish I either played or played more of. So I'm going to go through my list of biggest regrets. I'm not going to be very long-winded, but I say that. We'll see what happens. I'm going to fly through my list, though. and let you guys know my biggest game regrets. Like I said, I did my biggest disappointments already. Watch that episode if you're curious about that, and then you guys can chime in and let me know your biggest regrets. Then we'll go through a list of the games that came out this year and get a general idea of just how great this year was in gaming. Biggest regret starts with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This is a game I have not played yet. I've heard amazing things. I know a lot of you guys have recommended this game to me. I know a lot of reviews have said it's fantastic, and I know a lot of people were upset at the Game Awards and other awards for this game not winning Game of the Year next to games like Death Stranding and Control, which have pretty much taking control of all the wins. This is a game I definitely plan on playing. I want to play it, but given the current state in Disney Star Wars, my hype level is lower. I do know it's Respawn. I'm a huge fan of Respawn, and I am a huge Star Wars fan, just not so much the Disney stuff. And I will get around to playing it because if it's a good game, it's a good game, and it looks really cool. So I've been hyped on it. It's not as hyped as a lot of other games. Metro Exodus, another big regret of mine. I played it when it first came out. It had a lot of bugs. I didn't want to play it like that, so I didn't play it like that at the time. And I'm sure it's fixed now. I'm sure it's great, but I never got around to playing it again. But I'm a huge Metro fan, so the idea that I have not played this and beaten it is really shitty. This game probably could have been in my top 5 easily because the other 2 Metro games would absolutely be in my top 5 this year if they came out this year. I love Metro. Days Gone is a big regret of mine as well. This game I keep forgetting it came out because it came out and then it was gone. No one talked about it. I didn't hear shit about it. And then a couple months ago, some people in the community were like, "Oh yeah, Days Gone is really good. Did you ever play that?" I'm like, "Fuck, no, I didn't."
I think it's a lot of low key internet love too.
Yeah, and every time I hear about it, I'm like, I didn't even know the game was like that. I thought it was gonna be like this, and people are like, "Oh yeah, you gotta fucking refuel your motorcycle, and if you break it, it's fucking gone," and all this shit. I'm like, oh, I didn't know they were that dedicated to making it feel like a survival game. So that's really cool. That's a game I do play. It's on sale all the time for like $20, which I feel like is almost insulting. The game just came out this year. I do plan on playing it. I want to play it through. I'm just not a big I'm not into like the biker scene. And that you're playing as bikers, not a big deal, but it's not as exciting for me. But everything else about it seems really cool, and I will definitely play it. One game I regret not even looking into is A Plague Tale: Innocence. It was on a lot of lists of contenders for the Game Awards. I've heard a lot of really good things about it. Everything I see on it looks really interesting, but I didn't hear anybody talk about it throughout the whole year, and so it hasn't been on my radar. But it is a game that is on my radar now. I want to go back and check it out. Astral Chain is another game that I regret not playing. I don't think it would have been in my top 5 or top 10 or anything like that, but it is a game that looks really cool. I will get around to playing it at some point. Untitled Goose Game, I have not played that yet. I want to play it. I don't think it'd be in my top 10, but I want to play it and I didn't play it. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is a game I own and I have played, and I really like it. It's really fucking fun. It was lower on my priority list than other games I was playing at the time.
One of my 2 regrets this year.
Yeah. So to save time, you want to even talk about that then?
Well, just that I think it's still in its saran wrap essentially, or it's shrink wrap.
You haven't even fucking opened it?
I don't think so. I bought it, put it on my shelf, and that's it. The other game on my regret list, play it. Yeah. Well, and that's a big reason too, is I was kind of holding off for that.
Yeah.
That's a common theme with my 2 regrets is I bought them and didn't touch them.
Yeah.
So.
This year's rough. Too many fucking good games. So yeah, I will go back and play at some point, but that's still not even high on priority right now. Like, I'm gonna have like a month or 2 tops to be able to go back and play my back catalog games because there's some fucking huge games coming out like by March.
Yeah. Bangers.
Yeah, bangers. We got some bangers coming out.
Bangers.
Remnant from the Ashes is a game I actually played quite a bit. Really enjoyed it. I want to play it more. I just haven't had the time. I've been playing other games, but it's a fucking dope ass game. I'd like to play with people I know, and it's really cool. If you don't know what it is, it's pretty much a Dark Souls like game, except for there's guns. You can melee enemies as well, but it's gun based. It's kind of randomly generated the same way Warframe is, tile based wise. You go into a zone and it randomly generates tiles that you'll start recognizing each tile, but it'll rearrange them every time you play through, and you can reset your playthrough every time. All the bosses are randomized. Once you go to a boss, it's a random boss with random properties. You fight them. It's a really cool idea, and it's really fun to play. Really tight in its shooting as well, which I really appreciate. That's a game I'd like to go back and play. Final Fantasy 14 Shadowbringers is a regret. Not that I would get there this year, I feel like, but if I played it more this year, I'd probably make progress towards that. And that's always a game that I have installed because I want to play it, but don't have the time. DMC 5 is another regret of mine. Not that I think it would be like amazing or something that would be on the top 10, but it is a game that is very well done, should be celebrated that it exists. And overall, what I did play of it, I liked it. I thought they did a really good job with it. Outer Worlds, another game that's on my regret list. Had installed, I played it for a little bit. As I played it, I realized this probably isn't going to be on my top 5 list, so I need to spend the time playing the games that will be. Possibly could be, but I just got a vibe from it that it wouldn't be. So, but I do intend on going back and playing it. And then the last one is Devotion, which is a horror game that came out and then got taken off Steam because of some like Chinese shit. And I heard nothing but like amazing stuff. It was like something offended somebody in China or something, so they had to take it down, and I didn't have access to play it, and I didn't want to pirate it, so I'm waiting for it. It might be back now, I don't know. But this is like one of like the highest rated like horror games in a long time. People say it's like amazing, and I can't play it. I didn't have access to it, so that's a regret because I wanted, especially during October, I was looking into horror games to play, and I played Man of Medan for some reason and Blair Witch, which are some of the worst games this year. But couldn't play Devotion, and it looks really cool. I want to play it. Once I get my hands on it, I will fucking play it because the horror games are typically short anyway, so it's it's not a huge investment. Those are my regrets of 2019.
I only have one other one besides Dragon Quest Builders and myself is Kingdom Hearts 3. I picked up.
Oh yeah,
and I never
Forgot that
played.
came out.
Didn't play it at all. And I know Josh has very
Josh, the
strong opinions on the game,
he loved it.
but someone who has played most of the series. I won't say all of it because I definitely have not. It's something I need to do and get through at some point. And anyone I've talked to who is a fan of the series did enjoy the game. So,
Talk about divisive, dog. You're either a fan of that or you're not. But the people who are not aren't playing it, so.
well, yeah. I mean, the game's definitely for the people who were already playing Kingdom Hearts. I feel.
I see some people I follow on like YouTube and shit on Twitter, and people like will recommend them like Kingdom Hearts, and they're like, "There's no fucking way I'm ever playing that." I'm like, Jesus, okay.
Yeah, not for everybody.
At least they know they're just not into it.
Yeah. But I do want to play it, and I can't imagine it's going to be super long. So
I can.
27 hours. I think it'll be.
It's a long time to be in Kingdom Hearts.
I flew through, like Kingdom Hearts 2 as an example. As soon as I started playing it, I was done with it in like 2-3 days. So.
Josh flew into the Cave of Wonders and stopped playing.
That was Kingdom Hearts 1.
Fuck that place is.
Yeah,
He hated it.
I did.
It's Square and Square though. 2 Square games that I didn't play. So. Also,
Because you're too busy playing another Square game.
random side note. Did we pick nothing but no, you didn't. One of your games wasn't Japanese, I think. A lot of Japanese games.
All 3 of mine? No, Control.
Control. No, that's okay. I had 3 Japanese games. I think you had 2, and you had.
It's like year 2 or 3 of just Japanese games dominating a lot of our discussions.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
good to see him back, dude. It's awesome. S rank, awesome, baby.
Got any regrets
Okay, so
that you played Kingdom Hearts?
So Well, I was gonna split it up. So bad regrets. It also
There's
could be
good
in a
ones?
disappointment list. One would be Kingdom Hearts 3. There's something I'm missing there. I'm not gonna say I didn't enjoy my time with it.
Put the spotlight on him. He's got to explain himself.
But I can't. No, I've already explained this a million times. You guys have made fun of me on multiple episodes for this.
I'm not making fun of you. I'm just pointing it out.
I did not enjoy my time with it. I personally think that the last 3 hours are the only needed parts of the whole game. But again, I might be missing something from the other 2 or the other 16 games, where the fuck it is.
Somewhere in the middle.
That
All I know is fucking, I'm going to give Kyrie the pomegranate fruit.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah, and then fucking that one guy cheats when you race.
He's a fucking dick. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, but so that one was a disappointment. Another disappointment would be Far Cry New Dawn. I did not enjoy it. I just didn't enjoy it.
So you're just going through
hated it.
disappointments right now, not regrets?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. For the first part, disappointment. God, that game was such a. I understand they're trying to experiment, like they did with Primal. I think you mentioned this too, but
Yeah, not the same way though. Primal just was experimenting with a setting. New Dawn's experimenting with a different genre of game.
yeah, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. It's not what Far Cry to me is.
Garbage.
Rage 2 also fits on that list just because it was a bummer that I didn't get the fire from it and the feeling that I wanted to from Rage 2.
I don't feel that fire with my rage.
But yeah, and then playing regrets, probably Shadowbringers will be one of them, or just Final Fantasy 14 in general because I'm nowhere near that content yet.
Chevy's Game of the Year is getting everyone fucking feeling sad.
I'm sure with every review site out there giving it 9s and stuff too, it's kind of
Like there's obviously something there that I'm missing, and it's a bummer that I didn't get to experience it yet. What else would be a regret? Control. I didn't ever play Control. And that's probably about it. I don't
Clean
know
slate.
what
Not too bad.
straight up regrets, for the year.
the only reason mine are regrets because I bought them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, let's call it Oddworld. Greedfall. I do regret that I didn't play more of that. I only played for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I was like, I'll never play this game again, and I uninstalled it. And
Sounds like you really regret it.
well, no.
You fucking deleted it.
It's not a knock on that. It's just other games came out, and those games took way more precedence than a AA, open world game. So
Double A. Fucking yeah. When Final Fantasy 7 and Cyberpunk come out, there's not other games I'm playing at that time. So
Yeah.
it's just gonna be locked down. That's priority right there.
yeah, it's fucked. They come out in the same month.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's convenient because neither of them is going to take the other one's Steam. That doesn't happen very often. Normally, 2 games will come out, 2 high-profile ones, and people are like, "Oh, you picked a bad month."
then in
I
a
think
couple
more
months-
people are going to buy Cyberpunk just because the hype behind it's fucking insane. But
Yeah.
nobody who wants Final Fantasy 7 Remake is going to get swayed to not pick it up because of Cyberpunk.
I think one comes out at the beginning and one at the end of the month
But
too.
still,
So you
it's
got
fucked.
time.
One should come out at a different part of the year.
And then
Give me time, man. Fuck.
yeah, and then Last of Us 2 is just another month or 2 after that.
Yup.
So
Yeah, the year's fucked.
then Ghost of Tsushima's later in the year.
There's some big fucking. Next year's gonna be hard for me to
Probably
be picking a
PlayStation
goddamn.
5, Xbox Series X.
That's not a probably. They're coming out next year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
but-
next year's fucked, dude. It's so much money next year, and fucking, God, I won't be surprised if Final Fantasy 7, Cyberpunk, and Last of Us 2 are in my top 3 next year. Fucking put on the record right now. 2 of those will be my runners up. One of them will be my game of the year.
Yeah, it's really not fair, to be honest.
Last of Us 2, fucking Cyberpunk, and Final Fantasy 7 Remake? Fuck no.
Yeah. And
What
then
else is going to get in that top 3?
One, how good's Ghost of Tsushima going to be? You know?
It's going to be good. It's not going to be in my top 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that, but I know that. Unless Last of Us 2 fucking sucks. Last of Us
who
is one
don't
of my
say
favorite
that?
games ever. So fucking, unless that sucks, unless Cyberpunk's a disappointment, I saw them play it behind closed doors at fucking E3. I fucking am already stoked for it. But like, I'm worried about it. Don't be. It's fucking dope looking. And then fucking, unless Final Fantasy 7 sucks, but I played it.
And
It's
they've been showing it off left and right lately, too.
sick. It's fucking fun as shit. I like when I was done, I was like, I want to keep playing this. What are you doing?
They're literally being creative and safe at the same time with that game, too, which is
Called being saucy.
crazy.
Tifa's too smart.
She looks pretty human to me now, but
Not smart enough, in my opinion.
well, even like
She could be smarter.
The materia system exists, but it's expanded upon and has its own like leveling system.
I
and
was
stuff.
always wondering. I
crazy.
was like, how in the fuck are they gonna do that?
Oh,
But
no.
like,
They thought about it. It looks
Yeah.
great. So,
I'm fucking upset. That's my next year regret. Ghost of Tsushima is not in my top 3. 2020 regrets.
take notes and remind them in case something happens next year.
Yeah, we'll see. Or
Yeah,
something
it's gonna
sneaks
be-
out.
Yeah.
Forza 5 Horizon. That's gonna be my.
Your game of the year?
Yeah, my game of the year.
Horizon's good, dude.
Xbox
It
Series
is.
X launch title.
It's fucking good. But then I got to buy the refrigerator next
That
year
would be a
and the
smart launch title, though.
spaceship by Sony, unless they fucking deviate from that
not-
god awful fucking dev kit.
It's not going to look like that.
I know it's not. I've been saying
I
that.
want it to look like
I'm
that.
getting scared though because
It's just
fucking
so
those leaks are
fucking-
coming out. I'm like,
just so I can listen to people bitch. Like I want it. Like
I mean, I'll buy it regardless. I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck what it looks like, but like I need room to like locate and put my my Xbox in the kitchen. I need to pull the fucking refrigerator out and get a new one. Put the Xbox in there.
It's a PC tower.
It's actually not that big either. IGN did the most useful thing IGN's done in fucking probably 10 years is fucking they did a scale model of what the Xbox will be size wise. They looked at the dimensions of it and they put it like looked at it by the controller. They did the math. They show you their math and stuff, and it's like this big. It's like not big at all. Like you just put it like it's a thick boy.
And I think it's fun. One, it can be on its side too. A lot of people.
It's
aren't-
thick that way too.
Sure, but people aren't even like looking at it that
It's a
way.
big girl.
Because they obviously advertised it vertical. But
That's how I'll have it. I'm not having like a fucking UPS box sitting on my fucking anything.
I just think it's funny when we watched that and we were both like, "Oh, it looks kind of neat," and then it's so common. People are like, "It's ugly." I was like, "It's a box."
Is it ugly? Is it ugly? I don't know if you can call that ugly. It's a box.
Yeah, and then the top reminds me of a vent for most electronics, like with a
think
light in it.
I think it's kind of slick. I mean,
Yeah, I do too.
I was like, "There's not enough there for me to hate."
Like if someone doesn't like it, whatever. But like when people are like, "It's ugly," I'm like,
Do you have it? Well,
"Can it be
say
ugly?"
X awesome.
yeah, it looks literally
It's awesome.
like a computer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's definitely not what people expected. But when you look at the fucking Xbox One, it's a table. It's just a fucking
it's
flat
a
square.
brick with some texture on
They
it.
just moved it into a fucking vertical square. I mean, like I think it's the safest fucking thing you could do.
Apparently
with the
not.
design.
I don't think you can please people.
I mean,
That's the problem.
I remember before the PS3 was coming out, people were speculating it's gonna be a fucking circle. I'm like, there's no way people are putting a fucking
remember
magic
that.
circle. Or
Dumbass fucking boomerang controller.
that was rumored for the PS2 and PS3, and then people were fucking around with the PS4, and people were like, stop. That's never gonna happen. That's an awful fucking design for any controller ever,
Hey, spoiler alert: Sony uses the same controller every fucking time.
with slight modifications.
Yeah.
The PS4 controller is very different than the PS3 controller.
Well, I don't
Put 'em
imagine
next to
the
each
5
other.
is going to veer too far away from that. So.
It doesn't, but there's definitely some differences if you look at the drawn out pictures and shit. But they're gonna keep it. They're gonna keep it fucking similar, and they're selling this late in the fucking cycle paddles. So I guarantee those will work on the other controller.
Yeah.
Because they just start selling them and they're moving into a new console soon. That they're announcing like assholes.
Except for Sony will keep running the PS4 for the next like fucking 5 years. So.
Sure. To really just make those sales even fucking higher than they already have. Okay, so we can sit here all night and just talk about video games because that's what we do anyway. But we got to end this shit. So I want to kind of end this episode on a note of going through the games of 2019. We will probably miss some. There's so many, but we have a list here of games that released this year. I'm just going to kind of go through them if you guys got something to say on it. How do you guys feel about Pokemon Sword and Shield? Is that a regret?
No.
Disappointment?
Disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neither. I didn't play them.
Why? Yeah, I didn't play them either.
Oh.
Yeah, it's disappointing because there's
The hype was...
there's a key feature that I play Pokemon for that's not there.
Oh, and people on Twitter are pulling a fucking, well, boo-hoo, you didn't get what you wanted, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, can people just have
Sound
opinions,
like
man?
a little British boy.
You know what? I've heard some really great things about
We have
Pokemon.
British people watch this show. Fucking, they got little boys there. Don't you gotta insult them.
So there are things.
I'm sure they have them.
There's things the game is implemented, which sound really neat. Like one of them being the Wild Zone. People apparently love it, and I think it's great. And hopefully, it's implemented later on down the road since people like it so much. My biggest thing is I play Pokemon literally for the collection aspect. They're not hard games.
Plus, there's that fucking little GIF you put in the fucking Discord of one of the
Animations.
Pokemon who's just like,
They took
he's like bouncing. I was like, it looks like that, and you did that.
they stated one of the reasons that they didn't have the entire decks in the game
Lazy.
was to for high quality animations. That's what they said. And then that's the animation.
It's like an outline
Stiff.
of a fist and
Yeah. So
It's what they did in fucking
it's the DS animations.
yeah, but it reminds me of what they did with Gran Turismo 5. And they had like 1,000 cars, but some of them didn't have interiors. They all like a generic interior, which I didn't care too
Except
much.
for they
but
had
people,
less and still had bad animations.
oh, the Pokemon.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of the same excuse. I think Gran Turismo had a good point, but you shouldn't have done it because other games come out that are like Gran Turismo, and people are gonna go, "Yeah, that fucking sucks."
And they
I
can't
like
delay
this."
because Pokemon is essentially an annual title. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think with Gran Turismo because it had like premium cars, and those cars.
Yeah,
were fully
they should have spent the
rendered.
time and rendered every car or
For
not
sure.
put them in the game because it just was a weak spot. I can't defend it. I just go, I understand why they did it, but it sucks they did. All right, so let's go through this. So the winner of the Game Awards, Sekiro, shout out to that twice. Shout out to that game. That game is hard as fuck. Very good though. Resident Evil 2, and remember, just jump in if you have something to say on these games. Resident Evil 2 remake, one of my runners-up, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, a big regret of mine.
I have no want to even play that game.
which one?
Jedi Fallen
Really?
Order.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I
I
don't
don't
know.
know
It's
either.
just like I've heard a lot about it. You know, I've heard good, bad. You know, and all sorts of things.
I've
in
heard any
between.
bad.
And
Yeah, I haven't either.
I've heard it has lots of bugs. Those can be patched out. But,
Really?
yeah, some of it just seems a little rushed and sloppy.
Oh, weird. I haven't heard any of that.
But yeah, so like the QA wasn't all there.
It's like Almixai is the only guy who played Greedfall and had a bunch of issues.
Yeah, and I had zero. But yeah, I have zero ambition to play Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, both of you kind of said that, and I definitely want to play it, but like my hype level for Disney Star Wars is minimal. Control, obviously winning a lot of stuff. Death Stranding, 2 of our Game of the Years, almost a third Game of the Year from this channel. The Outer Worlds, a lot of good things said about that. Apex Legends, shout out to Apex Legends doing the impossible and kind of dethroning fucking Fortnite for a second there. Respawn's awesome. They've had a very great year this year. Fucking
for
killed
sure.
it. Hope they take that money and that success and they put it into Titanfall.
Don't forget to play it this month.
But yeah, Titanfall 2, make sure to play that. And yeah, just an awesome year. And Apex Legends is my favorite battle royale game, so good on them. Pokemon Sword and Shield, I went from having interest on the game to having none, so that kind of is a bummer. But it's not disappointing for me because I've been out of the Pokemon game for way too long that I'm not losing anything if I don't play it. But I had high hopes for it.
I've played almost every one.
Yeah. So it's more of a thing for you. Devil May Cry 5, shout out to that. They did a great job. Capcom, shout out to you guys. I can't give you enough fucking credit, Capcom. Stay on this fucking track. You're doing
on a
an
roll.
awesome job. Fire Emblem 3 Houses is a game that I want to play more of. It is absolutely in my top 5 this year.
So intimidating, man.
Regret for me. I forgot about Fire Emblem.
It's fantastic. It's so good.
It's just a
And
big fucking
It's
game,
better
man.
than just. It's not even just a tactical game. There's so much going on there. It's so fun. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Shout out to fucking Infinity Ward for doing what I thought was impossible for you guys. You guys made not only a good Call of Duty again, you made one of the best Call of Duties in years. Their last like 3 Call of Duties have been garbage, the worst Call of Duties ever. And then they made this, and I'm like, well, you guys turn that the fuck around real quick. Great story, great multiplayer. In my opinion, I know some people have their issues. And the co-op stuff is fun too. I mean, it's just the fucking total package. I'm really enjoying it. The season's better than Black Ops 4 season. And everything about it, I'm really enjoying. I really love the gun customization and the mounting and all that shit.
I know we're not super Battle Royale fans here, but there is currently a exploit to get out of a map in Call of Duty, and you get there's a whole nother map just built, giant fucking.
There's
map.
rumors that there's going to be a Battle
they're
Royale
saying
mode
that it
introduced
could be
later.
Their Battle Royale map.
Yeah, there's a leak of all the game modes, and it was bigger than any Call of Duty ever. And a lot of them were not recognizable. So there's a lot of shit they're going to be revealing at some point with this game. So, yeah, shout out to them. It's a great game. I can say that very confidently. Borderlands 3, shout out to that as well. As much as I did not like the story, this is the best Borderlands has played. I really fucking love playing this game. It's very addictive. It's really good. I want to return to it. I beat it the one time and I started playing other characters and I played other games, but the story is not good, but doesn't matter because I really enjoyed playing the game. So shout out to that. Mortal Kombat 11, I keep forgetting this game even came out. There's a lot of weird stuff that surrounded the release of that game that kind of made me fall off playing it, and I don't know if I will play it, so we'll see what happens. But it's a fucking gorgeous looking game. Really good looking game. Kingdom Hearts 3, Metro Exodus, Outer Wilds. Shout out to Outer Wilds for being very confusing and apparently very good. I keep seeing people talk about how that game is fantastic. So much so I didn't even know what the fuck the game was. I looked into it. Apparently it's like a puzzle game where you go through and there's a story that you're uncovering through going to different planets and finding information on this story that unravels. It's not at all what I thought it was going to be. So, but it's getting really great reviews. Shout out to Tom Clancy's Division 2. This game has not been talked about much this year. I think it was actually really fucking good. I really liked Division 2. There's just nothing for me to come back for yet.
I say, man, this genre suffers from this.
Yep.
Really bad.
All of them, yeah.
With the exception of, I actually do enjoy going back and playing Destiny 2.
Destiny 2 really is a crazy story.
Yeah, but Division 2, great experience throughout it, but it doesn't have the hook to like stay in it when you're done.
I
with
love
the
playing
story.
it.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good to play, man. Just like work on your end game. That for everyone in this genre, work on your fucking end game. Look at MMOs. Look at other games that have nailed end game. I think Borderlands 3 has better end game than a lot of these games. So
They had a lot of DLC and experience with Borderlands 2 to get that right, though.
Which was
they
crazy.
nailed it with Borderlands 2. I mean, they fucking supported that game like a motherfucker.
Which is crazy because I remember when the Division 2 before it came out, they were spearheading the end game as like their big thing.
And it is better than the Division.
100%.
It just wasn't enough for me to stick around, and I want to go back to it. Like I'm down to. I might go play it here soon. I really enjoyed playing it. I just between playing it for a long time and beating it, enjoying my experience, and then fucking having other games come out, just lost interest. So Gears 5, shout out to them, all the Gears fans out there. I'm not the biggest Gears fan. I played it a little bit. Not my cup of tea, but it's Gears, and apparently people really like the story. Disco Elysium, shout out to that game as well. That game probably would have made higher on my list if I had beaten it, but from what I played so far, it's very cool, very unique, and one of the coolest tabletop feeling RPGs I've played in years.
Dominated the Game Awards. Weird.
Yeah, four wins. I had the most wins of any game, so it's really cool. I'm glad that people are loving it, and thanks Wade for gifting me that. I've been very much enjoying that.
And Keith gifted it to me as well, so thank you.
The community is giving us Disco Elysium, and we appreciate it. So thank you guys. I plan on beating that game. Yeah. Super Mario Maker 2, shout out to Nintendo for doing what they do and making fun first-party games. I've heard nothing but good things about that. I haven't played it. I will maybe someday, though. Metal Goose Game, want to play that. Total War, Three Kingdoms. I don't know much about it. I'm not a Total War guy that much, so every time I try and play one, I can't get into it. But, it's cool subject matter. Shout out to Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. A lot of people have said really good things about that. It came out kind of buggy, specifically on Switch. I think they fixed that. Hopefully, let us know in the comments. But I've heard nothing but good things about it. I definitely want to play it.
I have it on PS4. It's fun.
It's also on Game Pass, I think.
Yes, it is.
So that's probably the way I'll play it. Luigi's Mansion 3, shout out to Nintendo again. A lot of first-party games this year. They're supporting the Switch like motherfuckers, and it's nice after the Wii U and the Wii. So very cool. Plague Tale Innocence, already talked about that a bit. I want to play it. Tetris 99, it's a fun game. It came out. They kind of had a weird way to play it, but I think you can just buy it now.
Kind of. The game is a free-to-play battle royal, but you have to have the online service, or you can buy the DLC, which gives you a single-player mode.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird systems. That's probably why I don't have it. But when I did play it, Chevy had it for a little bit. I dug it. But I like Tetris. So, and Battle Royale, it's a neat crossover. But I do think what's it called? The Tetris that's all fucking trippy.
Oh,
Tetris
Effect. I think no, that's not right. Is it?
Tetris Effect? I think so.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That I like that better. I don't know if that came out this year or not.
No, that was last year, but that thing's a whole experience.
It's fucking awesome. Yeah. I love it. Shout out to Shenmue 3. Can't believe we got it. Heard some pretty mediocre reviews on it. Apparently, it is a great sequel to the game that should have came out
20 years ago.
Back in the day. It has not aged well, and it's a brand new game. But if you're a Shenmue fan, I am a Shenmue fan. You should probably play it. I should probably play it. And I will at some point. Baba Is You is a name I keep seeing. I don't know anything about it. Sayonara Wild Hearts is another game I keep seeing. I know nothing about it. Telling Lies is a game this is the first time I even heard that fucking name. Katana Zero is a game that I keep hearing about as well. Days Gone, Big Regret. Crash Team Racing.
Getting a lot of positive attention.
Activision doing remakes really well. Really weird. I mean, it makes sense. Like, hey, we already made that. Let's remake it and make that money.
Like, cut some companies out and make some remakes.
But they did a great job with it. They did a great job with it. It's really fucking fun. It won the sports racing
category, yeah.
Category, which that was my vote. So glad to see it. I like it. Rage 2, big disappointment for me. Cadence of Hyrule, have not played it. I'd be curious in trying it. Darksiders Genesis, played a little bit at E3. It's kind of neat, but I don't know if it's... I'm not a Darksiders guy. Wargroove, big shout out. It's a really good tactical game. There is no tactical games anymore. Aside from Fire Emblem, I mean, like... This
and
is...
Into the Breach.
Into the Breach, what is that?
It's more of a procedural one, if I'm not mistaken.
That's that
FTL guys made it.
Made by the creators.
It's on Game Pass.
Oh, I haven't played it. I'll have to look into it. I love tactical games. So Wargroove has everything you want from what was those Nintendo ones?
Well, Fire Emblem, but
Wars or something.
Wars. Yeah, Advance Wars.
Advance Wars.
Ooh, yeah.
It reminds me a lot of that, but it has its own style and characteristics and humor to it that I really enjoyed. It's just
Fight for Caesar.
Yeah, the dog Caesar is fucking awesome, and it's a really cool game.
Hard as shit.
It's very hard. I'm glad they added like checkpoints and stuff because when the game first came out, you invested time, and if you failed, you had to do the whole thing over again. Final Fantasy Shadowbringers, one of our game of the years. Hypnospace Outlaw, don't know what that is. Astral Chain, one of the games I regret not playing. FIFA 20, who gives a fuck? Maybe you do. Let me know in the comments. Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, right?
Yeah, I need to pick that up still.
That's a game I really want to play. Really surprised it didn't win something because it's Zelda. Yoshi's Crafted World. I played that. It's actually more fun than those type of games. I'm always like, I'm not going to play that. And then I played. I'm like, there's a charm to it, man. Nintendo knows how to charm your pants off. They will get those pants off, believe me. Planet Zoo, game I want to play. I like Planet Coaster. Far Cry New Dawn, we're not going to talk about that. Wolfenstein Youngblood, right next to it, very fitting. And then Sunless Skies, don't know what that is. Dirt Rally 2.0, a game I was kind of curious about. Also, it's not on here, but Grid is another game by those guys. Also came out. Team Sonic Racing. I heard some pretty decent things, but I think Crash Team Racing kind of owned that. And then we got some Devolver games. We got Ape Out. I have not played it. I want to try it, but I look at it and I like a lot of Devolver games. I know I'll play it for like an hour and probably not come back to it. And then my friend Pedro, which I just played for the first time today. It's exactly what you think it is. It's fun, but it's, again, a Devolver game where you just kind of appreciate that the game exists. The Devolver, funded this. And
I also played a Devolver game and beat it.
Oh yeah, Red Strings Club, which I think came out this year.
That came out last year.
I think it's last year, yeah.
Oh yeah, I made that mistake earlier because we watched that last year at E3 or for E3. So yeah, 2019 as a whole, in my opinion, I think this is one of the best years in gaming. Ever, really, but in a long time. Obviously, there's some years with some real big bangers that you might have loved, but this one had too many all at once, and I think next year is going to be just as bad. It seems like it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
I feel like next year's going to be worse for me, so.
Fucking for me, too. I already know my game of the year and, like, fucking runner-ups. Like, it's already set in stone, so we'll see what fucking happens. So yeah, that is bringing 2019 to a close. Let us know in the comments, what's your game of the year? What are your two runners up? Go into detail on why you think that. Which ones are your biggest regrets? What do you regret not playing or playing more of? What are your big disappointments? What games did you play and you fucking hated them? Or came out and they didn't have the same reception that you wanted, so you didn't play it? And what other games do you think are worth mentioning this year that did not get mentioned here? And let us know your overall thoughts on your picks, our picks, and everything about 2019. Coming to a close, but that's going to do it for this episode of Tastecast. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook, and TikTok at Tasty Loot Gaming. Check out my streams, Chevy Streams, links down below. You can click those and watch us wherever they take you. Hopefully, they take you to the correct place. We have Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And yeah, my name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
I'm Josh.
Until the next episode, which should be Tasty Tuesday.
Yes.
Hopefully. We're getting into that area where we got Plus Club and Game of the Month coming up. So I'm like, yeah.
It's going to get
It gets busy. It gets busy at the end of the month every month. So, yeah, until the next episode, have a good week, guys, and take it easy.